Hey, hey, as promised, I am back and ready to read you more from the Children of Ark. Real quick, let me check to make sure that I didn't mess this up. Aha. All right, so this video is now public, which means a lot more of you can see me. Nice try, Facebook, but you're not going to get me that easy. Okay. When we last left Richard, he was on his way to see the mayor of Ark. He reached Asher Mansion, which is a beautiful piece of architecture in the town of Ark, one of their hallmarks. And he was escorted into the door by a very Addams Family type ogre of a man who appears to be a butler. So, all right, we pick up right there. Welcome to Asher Mansion, sir. You're 15 minutes early. Please come in. He kept one hand on the doorknob and threw out his free hand in a grandiose gesture. Richard noticed that while his right hand was gloved, his free hand, gesturing widely, was covered in a thick bandage. Richard cautiously stepped inside. The walls of the foyer had a shine to them, and the air smelled so clean he imagined not one particle of dust existed in this entire place. The walls and railings were also etched with the black visage of trees and vines, as if this were the inside of a jungle. Next to the stairs was a grandfather clock with a golden pendulum swinging back and forth. The stairs ahead of him led to a wide landing leading to two more staircases, and he assumed the pattern only grew more complex with ascension. He turned back to the large man who held out his hand for a handshake, only to flinch at Richard's bandages. Oh, of course. He cleared his throat. So brave of you, sir, to face those creatures so that we might survive. I am humbled to be in your presence. My name is Abraham Miller. You can just call me Abe. Why don't you call him Butler? A gruff voice said from within, even as Abe ushered Richard inside. He looked over the butler's shoulder to see the agent, Kane, suited in black, just then fitting his sunglasses over his eyes. His large chin and perpetual grimace as off-putting as ever. Everyone else does. Respectfully, Mr. Kane, the mayor calls me by name, Abe said with a forced smile. Fantastic, the agent scoffed. Tell him to get this one in and out, he pointed at Richard. We all have work to do. With those shades obscuring his eyes, it took Richard a moment to realize the agent's attention was on him. From what he could remember, he owed this man his life. It was his bullet that had stopped Adam Ford from shooting Richard in the neck. Yet his presence made Richard uncomfortable. I have been wanting to thank you for... I don't care, Kane said. Then he walked around the butler and stepped right into Richard's path, practically shoving him aside as he marched out the door. Abe gingerly closed it. What's his problem? Richard asked. Abe's expression seemed half bemused and half pained as he darkly chuckled. Don't take it personally, sir. He's not friendly to anyone. Frankly, I think his work makes that difficult. The butler said nothing else. He ushered Richard inside and took him to a room set behind the foyer. Vast windows provided a view into the estate's backyard with its Palo Verde trees and sprinkler systems that shot water across the yard in cascading showers. A long fireplace was built into the wall between the windows, decorated with potted plants of all varieties, some with steam rising. The room was filled with the soft, refreshing scent of eucalyptus. But just beyond that pleasing aroma, Richard smelled something else. Blood. It was the same distinct metallic stench that had assailed his nostrils during each and every moment that he held the Calipar. He searched the room with his eyes, expecting to find the sword, but all he saw was a pair of cushioned armchairs, each painted with a plethora of colorful plants. Between them, spanning most of the square room, was a long flaxen rug with a banana tree etched into its center. Abe took great care to step around this rug as he ushered Richard to the flowery chair on the east side of the room. When Richard sat down in it, his scarred, bandaged body was instantly comforted, and a gentle haze of light from the window painted him like a gold figure. He stared around this luxurious little parlor, seeing nothing but bright colors and images of fruit and vegetation. Also, he saw the butler standing back from the chair, folding both hands and still giving him a delighted smile. He shouldn't have smelled any blood in such a room, but it was still there underneath. "I will fetch the mayor," Abe said, and he left the room. At that exact moment, the grandfather clock and the distant clock tower both rang out, like sirens, as morning became noon. To distract himself from the smell, Richard turned and settled his eyes on one of two portraits hanging on the wall between the square-shaped windows. One portrait was of a tall, broad-shouldered man with brown hair and no wrinkles or blemishes on his face of any kind. If not for those unmistakable sandy eyes, Richard wouldn't have recognized the current mayor of Ark. By his photo, Richard wavered Alfred Merrick could bench press over 200 pounds with the same proud, suave expression displayed in this portrait. A brown suit was fitted perfectly to his height and weight. A pen rested in his hand, and a signed sheet of paper rested on his desk. Next to the picture, immortalized in the same frame, was a letter penned in the mayor's own hand. Actually, when he stepped only inches away from the frame, he saw that there were two letters, one a question, one an answer. "Mr. President, first, may I say that it is an honor to be writing this letter to you. The work you have done to preserve our great nation amid this surreal and devastating crisis has been exceptional. We are greatly blessed and highly favored to have received your determined service. As someone who came from a poor family, tasked to put myself through high education and pursue a life of public service through no more than a radical notion in this country's promise, I must confess that our death toll has weighed just as heavily on my conscience as it has on yours. Let me encourage you, Mr. President. Your Demon Knight program bears good fruit in our nation. Not everyone may understand your methods, putting such devastating tools in the hands of ordinary men, but there are those of us who are keen to your motives. I trust in your role of leading this nation back to what it once was, as we work to restore all that was lost. I therefore humbly ask for a position on your cabinet, so that I may take what I know of ordinary people, like life here on the ground and the hopes and dreams of everyday America, and help you ensure our restoration." The letter went on with more details outlining exactly what position Merrick felt he was suited for, but Richard's eyes drifted down to the mailing date, May 24th, 2134. "Restore what was lost," he muttered. Roger had said something similar to him. Beneath that letter there was another, mailed the very next day. "Mr. Mayor, doubtless we share a vision. You are reputed for your work in the South Sector of Washington. It is because of great leaders like you that I feel moved to continue serving here even in the face of death. Please come to the Capitol. Make no delay. We will speak of a position well suited to you. Julian Rourke, 62nd President of the United States. Long may they live." So, Richard now knew that Merrick was once a mayor behind the walls of the eastern camps, where he and Solange had once attempted to travel before his memory blanked out. As he processed that fact, he looked to the left of the first portrait and spied a second. This scene, hanging adjacent to the fireplace on the left-hand side, bathed in sunlight from the window, depicted one of Richard's strangest dreams. Within the golden frame was a creature with maroon skin and golden feathers, hovering over a canyon, her wingspan spreading in two directions far beyond wide-reaching mountain slopes. Her neck was long, and from her jaw, which was like a wolf's, came a hot, blazing light. That same light filled the sky behind her in the form of orange lightning bolts drilling into the earth. The skies were covered in dark clouds, and her shadow darkened the canyon further, turning day into night with every flap of her wings, just as the legend said. Richard had seen all of this in a dream. In the dream, he was the knight hiding under the rock, and the Sky Queen, Valar, was coming for him. In the darkness beneath her, Richard saw that knight. He was clad in red armor, his face Calipar. But while Richard was alone in that dream, this portrait depicted two other men alongside the Red Knight. One wore a sapphire waistcoat and was crowned with a blonde mullet. He gripped a massive pearly white sword in both hands. Adjacent to him, slashing up at Valar's left leg, was a man with gray hair and wrinkled, pale white skin, who wore an emerald waistcoat. He held his sword in just one hand, and its thin blade was yellow and hooked like a rattlesnake's tooth. Richard didn't know these people, yet gazing at this colorful canvas, it was all too real. His eyes drifted again and again to Valar's teeth. He felt that in just moments she would unleash that blast upon the rapids far below their feet, and there would be nowhere for the knights to hide. Your great predecessors. Richard had heard the mayor enter the room, but did not turn to look at him yet. His eyes had fallen back to the Calipar, to the painted Calipar. Even amid this chaotic, terrifying scene, the demon's eyes seemed to find him and fix itself upon him. His attention broke only when Merrick stood so close to his right arm that Richard could smell him. Beneath several layers of cologne, his skin had some rancid odor. Richard turned and saw that the mayor was dressed in a cream-colored suit, slightly hunched over, his brown hair neatly combed, and his thin skin and frail bones moisturized. His thin skin moisturized to hide his frail bones, and he was padded with blush to give him color. His smile was modest. Standing there, he breathed long, ragged breaths through the nose. My predecessors, huh? They won that battle, Merrick assured him. The Sky Queen's blood fell like rain over the landscape that day. The Demon Knights forever altered our destinies. Because of them, we are survivors. Seems like the artist missed a lot of realistic details, Richard said, favoring his own heavily bandaged hands. There should be steam rising from their palms. We should see their faces. We would know they were in agony. Insightful, Mr. Renovan. How am I even alive? I was stabbed, bitten. I felt my entire ribcage break. Merrick gently nodded his head. It's simple, really. Most demons are far more durable than humans, and many can regenerate themselves. As I explained when we first met, you're no good to the demon in that sword if you're dead. The more damage you sustained, the more energy it poured into your body so that you would heal and maintain your strength. However, I caution you, do not take this lightly. A demon may heal, but it can still be killed. So can its host. Well, this one can take quite a beating, Richard said. How do you know all this anyway? Where chance has come, I have studied the Demon Knights and their lore extensively. You truly never knew them. Richard lightly shook his head, careful not to agitate the wounds on his neck. I'm just a construction worker. I heard my boss's house got attacked and his kid went missing, so here I am. Mr. Marlton has been good to me. I'm just trying to be good to him back. Who gave you the artifact blade? I told you, Mr. Mayor, I can't remember. For a long, uncomfortable moment, Merrick kept standing there, hands folded behind him, his eyes accosting Richard. Then Richard heard a loud growl fill the room, and realized after another moment it was the man's own stomach. Forgive me, I have to sit down and eat. A ray of light brightened the room as the mayor took his seat beside the fireplace. Across from him, Richard moved towards his own chair. Abe had returned to the room and refilled the pitchers of water, smiling at the merriment he heard. Seems like you two are getting along, the butler remarked. Yes, Abe, he's an interesting young man, for certain. Richard tried to absorb more details about Merrick as Abe left the room. The man's hair was neatly combed and his frail skin moisturized, as he'd noticed before. When he smiled fully from cheek to cheek. He sat in a practiced upright posture that added some dignity to his sickly condition. He stopped to gulp down 3 cups of water, gasping each time as if he were out of breath. Richard just watched him, unsure of what to say or do. This was the mayor of Ark, this frail little man. That horde was brought here by a trail trafficker named Adam Ford, the mayor said. He's the one who almost killed you before Kane intervened. Trail trafficker, huh? Richard said. The people fabled to have crossed the trail of blood and survived, smuggling all manner of supplies and even people, with no fear of death, let alone mankind's predator. They were called trail traffickers. Richard could hardly forget Adam Ford's grinning face. Mr. Mayor, he said more will come. What did he mean by that? There is a chain effect that comes with demon attacks. Every time a demon's blood spills, that region sends out an odor that others like them can detect from thousands of miles away. It is said that whenever one horde attacks a settlement, it isn't long before the region is overrun. Richard's scars all seemed to spasm with pain upon those words, as if they hadn't already been overrun. How many demons were coming for them now? While he sat there, silently panicking, Merrick bent and unbent his fingers, as if he were counting something. On his third count, Abe entered the room. At last, Merrick said. Abe entered with 2 lidded silver trays. He set them both before Merrick. When he removed their silver lids, Richard saw 2 steak dinners. The mayor seized his knife and fork with no etiquette at all, tearing into the meat as if he were cleaving live prey. Richard was aghast watching such a thin, frail man guzzle down so much food in such a short amount of time. The butler, however, gave no reaction. Shall I bring you a dish as well? Richard watched the blood from the medium-rare steak roll down Merrick's chin and felt his stomach turn. I'm all right. When Abe left and Merrick finished both his plates, he drank 3 more glasses of ice water, sighing deeply. He leaned back with his eyes closed, as if the meal had just lifted some painful sensation. My vision, Richard Renovan, is to make you the Demon Knight of Arc. He opened his eyes and leaned forward, wiping his mouth with his napkin. It took some effort, but he set his tray of food aside so that all Richard could focus on was him. You would be a trained warrior who can crush any beast that dares visit our borders. It will not be pleasant. Demon Knights aren't known for leading particularly enjoyable lives. However, there will come a day when no demon dares threaten this city-state of Arc. A day when you and I, all of us really, become the cornerstone of a restoration. Yeah, I hear that word a lot, Richard observed. Imagine it, Mr. Renovan. The 2 of us destroying mankind's predator and restoring this wasteland to what it once was, the United States of America. We would give you princely fees, and you would be living in wealth. You would become the instrument of a legendary offensive, one that shakes hell and all who bear witness. Richard felt unsure of that. He didn't even know what the United States of America was, just words he heard in history books. For Richard, life had always been confined to a cabin, his family's cabin. His father used to say they had nothing. His mother used to say they had everything, as long as they had each other. And Richard had lost everything. He was here now in Arc, trying to hold on to the smallest gains, the possibility of Roger Marlton's forgiveness, of being invited back to their table despite his failing to save them. What is your answer, young man? Merrick said, eyeing him hungrily. Merrick wanted his hands. He wanted Richard to be a soldier, taking his marching orders, giving up everything and forever making war on mankind's predator. His heart fell towards his gut. He couldn't help Roger and Kevin if he was taking marching orders from the mayor. He couldn't shake the feeling. He was a construction worker, not a demon knight, not a salaried employee. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I just came here for information on Kevin Marlton and any other missing kids you know of. You should give that sword to someone more experienced, maybe one of your agents. Merrick's expression intensified. Would that I could, Richard Renovan. I will remind you that artifact blades are prisons. It restrains the living demonic spirit that serves only whom it chooses to serve. Make no mistake, there are many more capable, but only one whom the Kalapar has chosen. You, Mr. Renovan, hold this demon's leash. If you try to reject it, it will beckon you and pursue you until you give in. And when that happens, you will want me on your side. Richard's blood cooled. He didn't know exactly what to think or say, but he knew he didn't like this. Everything in him, every lingering burn and scratch of pain, every desire to return Kevin to Roger, were all warning him not to touch that demonic weapon again. If he did, there would be nothing left of him. When the mayor's expression remained hardened, Richard spoke. You always say that here in Ark we're free to live long lives as free men, right? Well, I need to get back to my life and my freedom. I'm sure the demon will choose someone less stubborn. But thank you for the offer. And please, if you could, keep us posted on Kevin Marlton, because every second of every day, I'll be out in town looking. Then he stood up and exited the room, leaving the mayor in bitter silence. That's all for tonight, folks. So let me make sure I'm not missing any comments here. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. So as you can see, Richard Renovan was made an offer to be essentially a paid superhero, but he turned it down because the call of duty for him is out in the streets looking for this kid's son. And he doesn't quite trust that this system is going to put his talents to the use that he's thinking. So an offer was made and he denied it. And as you can imagine, this decision is going to have consequences. What will those consequences be? Well, we will continue the story tomorrow night at 9:30 the same time. If you're enjoying this, everybody, please do give the video a like and a share. Please let people know that there's a book that they can buy on Amazon by a local author. If they do, let me actually drop the link in the comment section in case you're interested or in case you know somebody who's interested. Because when you choose to support a local author, you are giving us a fighting chance against the giants of the industry. It's more difficult for us to get reviews than it is for them. They have name recognition. They have, sponsors and agents. They have people that go looking for their books because they're established, and people know just by their name brand that they're probably going to enjoy what they read. For us who don't have a name brand and just have to go off the strength of the premise and the effectiveness of whatever ads we put out, we look to you. We look to our viewers, our users here on Facebook, on YouTube, pretty much anywhere that promotes books. We look to you to give us the recognition that we need to make sure that people who are shopping on Amazon will see our names when they do. So if you would like to share, if you would like to purchase by clicking the link, if you would like to purchase and leave a review so that people see that this product is moving, we will be eternally grateful to you. And short of that, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to throw a couple more promos at you, and then I will say good night and see you next time.